Good evening, everyone. I'm going to direct my comments to the Burbank City Council, but they're certainly appropriate for the Airport Commission members as well. I've been involved in discussions on this for such a long time, and when I read this project description for the non-aviation development, I was frankly a little bit shocked. Mr. Krikorian said you should do your due diligence, and I would agree. You do need to do your due diligence, but I think the Burbank City Council has a responsibility to their colleagues who are sitting next to them at the Airport Commission to give some idea of what impacts you think are acceptable. The Burbank City Council not that long ago turned down a development, not a huge development, at Media Studios North because of the impacts on Hollywood Way. We're talking like 166,000 square feet. This contemplates 3 million square feet of development at an FAR of 1.25, significantly more than is allowed in the media district, and I'm sure that FAR includes the streets as well. But I suggest to the council members, you don't have any idea what impact that is going to have on Hollywood Way. And I would also suggest that I know you've got some thresholds of congestion and impact that you think is acceptable. But it's not reflected in this. This is purely a market study, and I think you owe it to your colleagues to devise a way to look at those traffic impacts early on, because you're going to get alternatives in this analysis, and that's a good thing. But you're not going to get realistic alternatives. You're going to have this giant project, which is no way acceptable in my opinion, and you're going to probably come to that same conclusion when you see the impacts, and you'll have an environmentally superior alternative. What you should be looking at is maybe 3 or 4 alternative projects that fit within the realm of acceptable. But you're not going to get that on the path you're at right at the moment. I would also ask you to take a close look at that market analysis and look at the ratio of proposed development to the absorption rate identified in the market analysis. Look at the ratio of office development to the number of the absorption, and look at the ratio of flex space. Flex space as proposed is 133,000 square feet of a 3 million square feet project. And the absorption number is much, much higher than that. It's the reverse ratio of office. And I will submit to you that's to maximize the value of that site, going on the highest and best use concept. And I understand the airport would like to do that. You have an obligation to tell them what is acceptable so that you don't get down the road in this partnership and find yourselves completely crossways, which I think is where you may be headed. I've heard a number of you talk about light industrial. Well, the light industrial world that you're talking about, I think, has gone. However, if you look at some existing reuses of light industrial in Burbank as flex space, I think you'll see a lower impact use that might meet your requirements much better. Go look at the building right behind Community Chevrolet. Perfect example of that. Ask staff to take you on a tour. I think there is a project in here that can be made that's acceptable, but starting out at 3 million square feet, you're going to spend a whole bunch of money looking at impacts on a project that, frankly, if you ask your transportation planners to spend a day, they would tell you it's going to be gridlock. The only way you can get to the site from the south, not the only way, but the major way, is through Hollywood Way. I'd ask you even to do a simple process. Just look at Hollywood Way and Victory. So you don't spend a lot of time. I know time is precious. But that was a site, an intersection that was very important when we looked at the general plan, everything else. And if you don't do that and you just go with this proposal, if I attended the last meeting and I was an airport commissioner, I would have said, you know, Burbank City Council seemed to be okay with 3 million square feet, and we as the airport know 3 million square feet is probably not going to be acceptable, but not a single word from the Burbank people about the impacts. And that's just wrong. That's what your job is in this, is to protect the city from those impacts. I'm all for the long-term benefit, the jobs, and everything. But your role as a government body and your role in the CEQA process is to take a look at that. So I'd ask you to consider ways to get this on the right path so you don't end up crosswise with your colleagues that I know put a lot of work into all this. Thank you.